What's going on, everybody? It's Chris Waggener. I am a personal injury attorney that specializes in car accidents and slip and falls in the Tampa Bay, St. Petersburg, Florida area. And I'm doing another Reacts to Cops videos. Before I was a personal injury attorney for a few years, I worked as a public defender, and I've tried dozens of criminal cases. I still have a love for criminal law, and I just have always loved cops too. So let's jump right into it.
Great, I wanted to be a priest, but that didn't quite work out. So,
all right, this guy's a K-9 officer.
This is cool.
So he's got a dog in the car with him.
Most of our focus is on finding that bad guy that wants to get away from the patrolman. Okay, we're going down here about 6 blocks away where a deputy was following a stolen car. The guy went around the corner and bailed out of it, took out off 1 foot over some fences. So we're going to head over there and see if we can locate the guy with the K-9.
All right, so this police officer is a specialist in dogs, so he's got the K-9 and the dog with him. Those guys play by different rules, but also they are utilized in different ways. So as like he's saying here, you know, there's a stop that was effectuated by another police officer. I don't know if it's good or not. They're not going to show whether or not the stop was good because this guy's responding after the stop's been made, and the suspect is now fleeing on foot. So this guy, having a K-9 unit or being a K-9 unit, is being called in to use the dog to try to help find the guy. So they're going to try to go sniff him out. Right, they're gonna make contact with the originating deputy.
He was going like a bat out of hell. We couldn't catch up to him, and he bailed. I think he went over this fence here. We were right on his heels.
All right, so this is actually a good thing. You know, like, again, I don't know if the stop was good or not by this other Deputy Wriggle or whatever his name is. You know, let's just assume for the moment that the stop was good, that this is a bad guy. They really do need to catch this guy. You know, it's good that we have police officers or that we have that are trained up with dogs so that they can help try to catch perpetrators that have gotten away. Now, the issue that I, as a defense attorney, used to run into when I used to do cases like this is how well trained is the dog? How good is the dog at doing its job? Because just because it's been trained and just because it's a dog that's capable of doing things that human beings can't do, like obviously smell things that we can't smell, which is the main reason that we use them, they still make mistakes. Not all dogs are as good as other dogs. You know, there's some that are better than others, and there's some that are really bad at what they do. So, you know, whenever I got a case like this where there was a dog that was usually smelling for drugs, I don't know if I ever had a case where a dog ran down a perpetrator. I'm sure I probably got one or two, but nothing I can really remember off the top of my head. Well, I did get a few drug cases where dogs were used to identify the drugs. You always will get a packet of information that shows how old the dog is, where the dog was trained, what kind of training that the dog went through. And then also you usually get documentation about the other stops that the dog has made in the past and whether or not the drugs or whatever it was that they were doing were actually, in fact, what the dog identified.
Suite 7 static.
Whoever that unit is there, why don't you head east a little bit?
Stay.
So I have a feeling they're probably going to find this guy with the dog and then they'll run this guy down with the dog. So I kind of feel bad for him, but, you know,
and this is the guy that was out. This guy right here is saying that he kind of, they heard somebody in their yard.
Hey, if you guys want to take the dog into the backyard, you can.
Okay.
All right. Right there, we just heard a voice that said, hey, if you guys want to take the dog into the backyard, you can. Assuming that that's the owner of this home, that's consent. That person has just consented to having these police officers not only take themselves back there, but also to take this dog back there with them. And so whatever they find back there can be used against them. This is why you see a lot of defense attorneys say, don't talk to the police. Now, I'm assuming that this woman has done nothing illegal. I'm assuming that she's just trying to help them. And there's nothing wrong with trying to help the police per se. However, it's risky. It's risky. And I've said this in other videos. When you let the police in your home, even if you aren't connected to this person in any way, shape, or form, if there's weed on the counter, if there's a bloody knife on the floor, if there's anything that they notice that's illegal, guess what? now they're going to send police officers to do a separate investigation on whatever illegal activity they may have identified in your house. So be very careful whenever you let the police into your house. So anyway, this person's consented to allow them to go into their home. That's going to let them go into the home without a search warrant.
Stay in the house and everybody else in the house. No, they can take the dog in the back if you want.
So I should say, not into their home, but they can go into the yard. I think she said that they can go into the yard. So that will limit it. Like what you consent to matters. You know, if you say, hey, you guys can go into my backyard to look for this guy, that's all they can do. They can't go into your home. And if they did, that would be called fruit of the poisonous tree. Any evidence that they got would be fruit of the poisonous tree.
In the area anywhere.
Let's see where this guy's at.
What's that leash stuff there? Ready?
Landed square for 148 North St. Andrews, valid identity.
In this neighborhood, who knows?
Oh. All right. Fast forward some time. How long does it take to look through a house? I guess they're looking in the shed there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Farrell.
So I guess the dog hasn't picked up this guy's trail because they
Harold.
edited it and jumped ahead in time.
Now. Let me see your hands.
I was up the tree.
You stay right there till that guy out front tells you what to do there.
So again, with the editing of cops, it's always kind of an issue when I'm doing these videos. I don't know how much time has passed. It seemed like there was an edit in time because they went from being on in the backyard of the house to being on the side of the shed there. So I mean, it could have been a minute, it could have been 30 seconds, it could have been 15 to 20 minutes. I don't know, but it didn't seem to me like the dog nailed the smell of this guy and brought them right to the tree. Because I mean, if you climb the tree, the dog should have, just like treeing a raccoon or treeing some other kind of animal, should have gone up to the tree and started barking at the tree. But he wasn't doing that. So I'm not convinced that the dog found this guy. None of that really matters. If they find the guy with or without the dog.
Up in a tree.
So how do you get him down? That was the question. They got to figure out how to get him down.
Hands up. John, as soon as you get over here, I'll shoot him out of the tree for you.
Okay.
They're going to shoot him out of the tree. I would presume that's going to be with non-lethal. All right, let's talk about this. So now, officer safety is important here, especially for these guys, for the police officers. They're most concerned with making sure that they're able to apprehend this guy without hurting themselves in the process. But sometimes what gets lost in this is the fact that they can't use unreasonable force to subdue this guy. In other words, if he's showing his hands and he's saying, I'm not a threat, they can't then shoot him in the face in order to subdue him. Like, killing him would be unreasonable in that situation, arguably. So now he's up in a tree, and it looks like he's a good ways up. I'd say like good 15 feet up in the tree. So if he falls the wrong way, he could hurt himself or kill himself. So they've got themselves an issue here in that they need to get him out of the tree safely without also endangering themselves. And also at the same time, they obviously need to apprehend him. So threatening to shoot him, I mean, I guess you could use the threat to shoot him in order to try to convince him to just come down by his own means. But they should take some time to think about how to get him out of the tree so he doesn't fall. That's what I'm trying to say here. They don't want to just, taser him or tranquilize him or whatever, beanbag him so that he just, goes limp and ragdolls out of the tree. I mean, he could break his neck if he does that and, kill him. And they don't want to do that. I mean, even if they don't care about this guy's life, which I would hope that they do, then they're going to get sued. The city and the police department's going to get sued for unreasonable use of force, excessive use of force.
Right now! Just hang down on that branch right there.
You could get a net, put a net underneath him, and then they could beanbag him or tranquilize him or taser him. Looks like he's going to come down on his own, though.
Come on, keep shinning down the tree.
Yeah, I'd say he's like, 10 feet up, 10, 11 feet up.
Once you hit the ground, keep your hands out. You understand me? Don't reach inside your coat. Don't reach anywhere. Okay, jump down. Get down, or I'm coming up.
There's the ground right there.
Get down.
All right, so he's going to go up for him if he doesn't come down.
Don't reach anywhere. Jump down. I'm not going to tell you again. Jump down. Jump down.
Okay.
Hold it and then hang down. It's only like 8 feet from there. Come on.
Watch that branch there, Jeff.
Use the big branch.
Use the big one.
Use the big branch that your butt's on. Put your hands on it and hang down.
So this is creative use of police enforcement right here. I mean, they got to get creative on how to get him down. Like I said, it's not as simple as just jumping up there and grabbing him and bringing him down. He's too high up there. And then also, if they climb up there, then what's the guy going to do? Is he going to pull a knife on the police officer? Are they both going to fall down? This is not a simple situation for them. Like this could become a dangerous situation if they're not careful. It seems like he's going to get down, but it could go wrong at any minute. Like this guy clearly not very
nice
athletic.
sheath there, so.
All right, there he goes. He
Drop
got it.
down. Get on your belly. Get on your belly.
All right, good job on these police officers getting him down without hurting him.
Get on your belly. Get your other hand behind your
They'll
back.
handcuff him and take him into custody.
What's going on here over here?
So running from the police like this in a situation like this, again, not having seen the initial stop, is going to be a presumptive fleeing and eluding charge. I don't know what jurisdiction they're in. Like every jurisdiction might call it a little bit different, but most, if not every jurisdiction in the United States is going to have some kind of fleeing and eluding from the police, and him running from the police will get him. And most of the time it's a felony too. So I don't know if they were stopping him for some minor amount of drugs or for traffic violation. But
be quiet. You have the right at this time to speak to an attorney and have him present with you while you're being questioned. If you cannot afford to hire an attorney, will be appointed representative for any question you wish. You can decide any time to exercise these rights and answer questions, make any statements. You understand that? Can you tell me what I'm doing?
all right, so he just read him his Miranda rights. So he is officially arrested at this point, and anything that he says after this can and will be used against him in court. At this point, if I was this guy's attorney, I would advise him to keep quiet, call his attorney, which I guess in this situation would be me. Call me, and I will take care of whatever it is that I can take care of. I mean, there's no stopping him from being taken into jail and being booked, but criminal defense attorneys have ways of getting people out of jail fairly quickly. Again, I don't know what kind of rap sheet this guy has, maybe he's got a warrant out for his arrest. I don't know what the circumstances are, but there are instances where attorneys can get the person to bond out of jail, or even get released on their own recognizance, i.e. just be released straight up with a court date without having to wait until the next morning for first appearances, which is something that happens after you get arrested. So at this point, he needs to stop talking and just let the cops talk to him.
Possession of stolen property. Lean over the car. Spread your feet.
Dirty hands from being in those trees.
Well, anyway,
It's not Buddy, it's Deputy.
well, deputy, whatever.
So we were coming between the house and the fence line here by this tree, and Sergeant Solheim says, John, you're really close. And I kind of looked up, and he was up in the tree there. And what he was doing was, when we were tracking and working through this yard even here, he was circling the tree, because this tree is about 4 foot in diameter with branches all the way around. So he was just circling, keeping the tree between him and us, and we could never see him. So always trust your dog.
So I don't know about that. I mean, I hear what he's saying about the dog, but I'm not convinced that the dog did a good job there. All right, so that wraps up another lawyer reacts to cops clips. And my final takeaways on this one are, whenever a dog gets involved in the apprehension of a suspect, it always adds another layer of analysis that criminal defense attorneys have to do. Because, dogs come with another set of problems and issues that aren't normally there when the dogs aren't available. Again, not knowing how the initial stopping officer made the stop, just assuming that everything was hunky-dory there and that all went according to plan. I wasn't convinced that the dog was the way that they found that guy. I know that the cop at the very end there was saying that, like, oh, without the dog, we were circling the tree and he would just keep moving around it. But, from my understanding is that, like, once a dog trees an animal, they usually just bark at the tree. And specifically with K-9 units, a lot of times what they're trained to do is actually to sit down when they find something and look at the thing, or look where the thing is that the police officer needs to be searching. And a lot of times that will give reasonable suspicion to the police officer, which is enough for them to search that thing. But I wasn't getting the impression that the dog did that. I don't think the dog went over to the tree, sat down, and looked up at the tree as if to say, listen, this is where the guy's at. They were just searching kind of all over the place is what it seemed like to me. And then they just got lucky that they were able to see him with the flashlight, what they were just, looking around for him. So I'm not convinced that the dog was the reason that they were able to find him. That said, I thought that the way that the police handled getting him out of the tree was done well, because it could have gone a lot of different ways. It would have either resulted in the suspect falling out of the tree and hurting himself, or with the police officers attempting to climb the tree, and then that puts another layer of danger into it. The suspect could attack the police officer. The police officer himself could fall. They could both fall. It's just one of those X factor type situations. You don't really know what's going to happen, and I thought they handled it pretty well, getting him out of the tree and then also apprehending him. So if you liked what you saw, leave me a like, and if you really liked it, subscribe, and I'll have more of these coming out later. Have a good one.